welcome back to Founders in Jeans. I'm your host, Emily Jean. And before we get into the episode, I just want to say a huge thank you so much for listening to my podcast. I also wanted to say that if you enjoy the show, feel free to leave a review on Spotify or Apple, wherever you're listening to this, and also to follow us. You can follow us on Spotify, of course. You can follow us on Instagram at Founders in Jeans. You can also find me on Instagram at emily.jeans, or you can look me up on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to connect with people on there, and I have a lot of good conversations from listeners. Also, you can always leave a bad review for us. I'm totally fine with that. And in fact, I think that's exciting. I would love to know what we can do to improve. So you can also leave comments below and let me know what you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy. I actually do read every single one. We also have a newsletter that comes out once a week, so you can get all the updates from us. We also put in some weekly business and marketing updates in there, as well as some personal notes from me. You can subscribe to that on my LinkedIn, also through the Instagram and in the show notes below. Anyways, that is all from me. I'm so excited for you to listen to this episode. I hope it's a good one, and I'll chat to you soon. Okay. Ralitsa Malcheva, welcome to Founders in Jeans. I am so excited to chat with you today. For people who have not heard of you yet, would you like to give a little bit of a background about yourself?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm also very excited to be here. So I'm Ralitsa. I am Bulgarian, but spent the last 14 years now in the UK. Moved around a bit. Spent 10 plus years in management consulting until recently when I left and founded my own freelance consultancy and also coaching practice. Basically, both of them sound very different, but both of them are actually about helping people and looking from the people and human side, both in the organization. And then the coaching is very much about helping people who feel stuck, disconnected. They want something to change, but they don't know what, or they're going through a major life change and then don't know how to continue. And it's almost that identity, lack of alignment. That's what I'm focusing on. So that's me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to chat to you today. I have so many questions for you. I want to kind of go back all the way to the beginning. And I know from your bio and your background that you grew up around entrepreneurs. So can you talk to me about what that means to you? And also, I guess, when did you first realize that you also love to create and build things?
Okay, let me paint you a picture. I grew up in a small town in Bulgaria. Many people probably don't know much about Bulgaria. Basically, that's in the 90s when creativity, entrepreneurship wasn't what it is today. And parents didn't really think about, oh my God, my child is very creative. If you didn't sing, if you didn't perform, or if you couldn't, I don't know, paint or draw, you weren't creative. That was what you might probably get to become a lawyer or I don't know, teacher or. So I grew up in a family where everyone was super entrepreneurial. Everyone around us actually, I feel like everyone owned the business. Not many people were actually employed. And it wasn't until recently when I was looking back at my childhood and the things that I really enjoyed doing, like organizing events, bringing all the kids together to organize shows, doing raffles, and I don't know, charity for, I don't know, the community so that we can improve the gardens or something. It was always about bringing people together. Even when I would stay with my grandparents, I would ask my dad to dress up and do a show for my grandma with the full experience, lunch, etc. Yeah, it wasn't until university or when I started working when I actually realized, well, I was actually very creative. Probably just the society wasn't seeing creativity and entrepreneurship in that way. And they didn't see that I'm very creative and very entrepreneurial, but I've always been like that. It was just who I was.
But before you started your own company and created your own thing, I know that you were in corporate for about 10 years. So, what made you want to start your own practice and leave corporate?
Well, I feel like basically when I started applying for jobs, there was this narrative that you should work for these companies. If you want to be successful, you should go on that like path. And I always felt like there was something off. I felt like I didn't put my soul into the applications and into the things that everyone else seem to be very excited. So despite of that, I went and worked 10 years in corporate, but I felt like I always knew there was another path for me. Probably there were a lot of beliefs and societal norms that I didn't want to break.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so many people, or a lot of entrepreneurs that I talk to, when they first start, they say that the hardest part was leaving what they're used to and then making the leap into their own business. Was there a kind of like one moment or a final time you were like, okay, the best decision for me is to leave and start my own business?
I think it was building slowly. It started when I got pregnant and I had a full year of maternity when I started exploring coaching a bit more as well. I knew I wanted something different. I wanted more flexibility, time to spend with my family. And I'm not saying I'll never go back, but I honestly wanted to be on my own terms. And that's why I started freelance consulting, because it feels like it's my own decision to an extent. But you always depend on other people. But yeah, I think motherhood probably was what kind of showed me it's almost now or never.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so cool. That's so cool though. Like being able to, because some people would view motherhood as a opportunity to not do it or an excuse not to do it. You know, there are other things then you're putting on your plate, a whole bunch of new stuff you're learning. And instead you saw it as, okay, now's the time actually, which is very impressive. I love that.
And I think, yeah, when you step back and have that time to see things clearly, I think that's what helped me actually. Many people actually think when you become a mom, you kind of career and your own motivation kind of goes down. And I think that's a perception that many organizations have. But I think in reality, it's completely different. You kind of get even more motivated, organized, and you kind of learn to many play at the same time.
I want to ask a little bit about like the insides and outs of your business, specifically with your client work. What is usually the first thing that people come to you for when they're feeling lost or disconnected?
Well, people usually come to me because they feel like they see in me someone who can see through them, someone like a friend. And usually when you spend too long time in a row, whether it's at work, or in personal life, and even when you all of a sudden you become a parent, there is always a lot of questions coming up at this period, and people genuinely don't know the answers. So they start thinking about who am I, what do I want, can I do it, etc. Can I genuinely move? So I think the big thing is emotions and processing emotions, and that's why people come to me, because one of my key focuses actually in my practice is not just thinking about the goals and what next, but also understanding what are the emotions around the change and why you're feeling lost and disconnected.
I know too that you've worked with people going through obviously big life and identity shifts. What would you say is the most common challenge you see among your clients?
Oh, there are a lot of challenges, to be fair, but basically the most common challenge I see is the fear of letting go of the old identity. Even you no longer associate with it. Basically, people often think that the hardest thing in change is stepping into something new, but actually it's releasing who they used to be and who they think they're supposed to be. Because if you think about it, when you make a change and when you're going through this big life or identity shift, it means letting go of something that people know, and that might mean losing people. It might mean um like completely changing how you lived so far. So people are really struggling to let go of the past.
Mm. What would you say is the biggest or even one mindset shift that makes a big change or like a big difference?
I think it's embracing that change and understanding that change comes with a lot of unknowns, imposter syndrome, and figuring things out. Saying that I may not know all the answers, but I'm going to figure it out one way or another. I think it's the biggest mind
Right.
shift. And many people wait for certainty, for them to be confident, for stars to align, but it's never
Right.
happened. Actually, when you're going through change, whether it's imposed on you or something you want to do, there will always be an uncertainty and unknowns, and you can't have everything figured out.
Yeah. What kind of advice or how do you recommend people stay grounded when everything around them is feeling a bit uncertain?
Honestly, I ask myself this question a lot, like most of the time, but I guess there's a two side of this question. One is there's a lot of techniques and that can help you staying grounded, whether it's writing, meditation, and so. But I have another take on that and something that I've seen helping people a lot. And that's actually when your life feels uncertain, you need people around you. And usually it's people that keep you grounded. And you shouldn't isolate yourself but do exactly the opposite. You should find comfort in people and talk with them about your fears, about what is happening. And many people might say, oh, I don't want to bother the others with my problems. But people would be happy to be there for you and will support you. Because sometimes I think about the blue zones and the story of longevity, right? And one of the key factors is community. And I feel like when life is uncertain, that's when and to stay grounded, you need your community and your people to support you, like along with other things that you can do as a daily
Yeah.
practices.
Yeah. I love, by the way, all of the longevity blue zone like talk in the media. I've read multiple books on it too. So fascinating to me. So interesting.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I want to discuss more on the business side of things. I know that obviously you help companies redesign structures and culture. What are the biggest mistake companies make during change?
From my experience, what I've seen, especially with bigger organizations, I think the biggest mistake that make is not bringing people on board when they're making a change. In a consulting language, they impose change from top to bottom. Basically, they are not considering how it impacts the people around them. And I think many organizations talk about customer experience as top priority, but honestly, in most organizations that I've worked with and I've worked in, I've realized that an organization is as successful as and as good as your employees. So I think employee experience is really important, if not even more important. So if you're not taking care of your employees, especially during change and now with AI and everything, they will eventually leave out and it will cost you more than actually investing in a people-led change.
Yeah. How do you get people to buy into change when they feel scared or resistant?
Oh, good question. So without going into too much theory, I think people naturally go through a cycle when experiencing change and resistance. Feeling scared is a natural part of this process. But there are a few things I recommend to anyone I'm speaking to when they think about getting people's buy-in. And Many managers might say, I don't need people's buy-in. It's already been decided. And that's not a very healthy way to manage an organization. I feel it as explain the why from very early. Involve most impacted people in the decision making and keep them informed. Make decision making transparent and over communicate. I think people underestimate the power of communication and clear communication. People now want to really understand what you're saying, not use all the buzzwords in the language that no one really understands.
What would you say makes a company culture truly healthy beyond buzzwords?
There are a lot of factors, and I guess for different people, it means different things. Some people may see it as there's trends like psychological safety and feeling valued and diversity, etc. They're all very relevant and very much important for organization. But I think, to me personally, what makes a company culture truly healthy is how leadership team is showing up. And ego-driven companies are not, in my opinion, successful or won't be successful for a long time. I
Right.
think the modern leader, as I call them, truly need to inspire employees and be people's person first rather than thinking about, we all know the business is business, right? There sometimes you need to make tough decisions but you shouldn't forget the human factor behind it, and you should stay
Right.
true and to support your people and think about people first before you think about, and it's how you communicate with them as well.
Yeah. I have so many questions for you. Like, I'm so curious about the work you do, especially how that overlaps between individuals and companies. But I want to kind of focus in more on you too. And I'm curious, with all the people that you meet and that you work with, what shifts are you seeing in how people think about work and purpose today?
I think there are three key differences in the way, like, what the people see work and purpose today. People want their work to feel more meaningful and aligned with their values, and they want to make most positive impact. We are not as we are money driven as like the different generations, but I think not as much as before. Like, that's no longer just enough. I think employee and even leaders want to bring their full self to work, so their whole self to work, and build genuine relationships rather than just being part of hierarchy, work 9 to 5, then leave and literally have zero relationship with the people who you work with and
Right.
not knowing anything about them. And I think there is a one shift around purpose-driven leadership. So what do companies stand for? What initiatives, social and environmental, they support, and how do leaders show up? I think there's much more high expectations, and we see that a lot on platforms like LinkedIn, right, where there's quite a lot of like opinions about what leaders should be and shouldn't be. And I think employees also expect that.
Right. What skills matter most as companies are changing and are going through this shift?
I think first priority, and for me, top one, is emotional intelligence. And I think it goes back to that human connection and understanding people, being aware of yourself and of the others around you, being adaptable with all the dynamic changes that are happening in the world and technological, economical. I think the leaders need to be, and the skills that matter most is adaptability as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the ability to stay resilient and continuously learn will be also very important.
Right. I would love to do some rapid fires with you before we wrap up because I don't want to take up too much more of your time.
Yeah.
I always say rapid fires, but it's never quite rapid, which is fine. But okay, first question. I'm actually very curious to hear this. Did you have a childhood business idea or dream career?
A dream career. So business idea, I take all my business ideas very seriously. So I
Yeah.
had a few ideas about selling like things 2 for 1 and the gifts that I'm giving, but I'm not gonna share that because it's very TMI. Dream career, I actually wanted to be a model and a lawyer at the same time. That was quite cool. I don't know how
Love
you can be
that.
model and
That's a
lawyer.
great dual career. I love it. Hitting both areas. I love that. Okay. Do you have one habit or a ritual that helps keep you grounded?
Yeah, it's actually walking in nature. Before COVID, I was very much a shopping type of girl. Now I'm more nature girl. So there's a woods around us. So I try to spend a good hour walking around.
Yeah. Lovely. I'm still a shopping girl. Unfortunately, COVID did not take that
I'm
out of
still.
me. Okay, good. Do you have a founder or a business or a brand that inspires you?
Oof, okay. That won't be a question. There are a lot of brands that inspire me. I'm always inspired by founders who really started from the ground up and really built themselves. One person that comes to mind is actually, maybe people will be surprised, it's Molly May here in the UK. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
she's very, I don't know, she's very down to earth, and she has a child similar age to my son, and maybe that's why I kind of relate to her ups and downs in motherhood and managing business and a child.
I love that. Love that. That's a great answer. I'm so curious about Molly May and how she's enraptured such a wide range of audiences. I feel like there are so many different women of different ages that love her. And that's a very powerful skill. Like, she must be doing something right if she's able to do that.
She's very authentic, and
Yeah.
like, not many people eat McDonald's on their vlogs these days. And you're like,
Yeah.
thank God, like, I don't eat personally McDonald's, but I really enjoy
Yeah.
seeing people who are not afraid to say, by the
Yeah.
way, I eat junk. I don't go to
Yes.
bed.
Yeah. Right. At a good time. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. My favorite question to ask all founders. Do you have a book or a course or a resource or anything like that that you can recommend to budding entrepreneurs?
There are a lot of courses, book. So for people who are going through change, obviously, I'm currently reading Atomic Habits. I love it. But maybe I will recommend something that is not that traditional. And one book that really changed how I see choices and life decisions was a fiction, actually. It's called The Midnight Library.
Well, I've heard of
And
it, but I've not read it.
definitely recommend it. It's a fiction. It's not self-help book, but actually, I don't know, somehow it works like a self-help book.
Yeah. Okay, got it. That's good to know. I'm going to have to add that to the list. Well, Raleigh, I'm so excited and so glad that we got to have this conversation. I'm so excited for people to hear this. But before we wrap up, where can people follow you? Where can people find you?
LinkedIn, Ralitsa Malcheva. I am on Instagram, so for by Rally, and they can reach out via email or just DM me on LinkedIn, where I spend most of my time.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Well, all of that will be linked in the show notes as well. But thank you so much for coming on. I'm so glad we got to do this.
Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.